Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR.
The Council on American Islamic Relations, known as CAIR,
is a kind of stealthy jihad.
One of the founders of CAIR was caught telling a small-town newspaper
with his growing jihadist ideology.
And he said the purpose of Islam in America was to be supreme over all other religions.
CAIR has a dangerous agenda.
What the Muslim Brotherhood calls civilization jihad.
Muslim group CAIR lied to the city council and 750,000 YouTube viewers in March 2011 and smeared Orange County Councilwoman Deborah Pauly. They accused Pauly of calling all Muslims terrorists and the women and children attending the fundraiser terrorists.
Do you think my children are enemies of America?
At the same time that they made these defamatory accusations, their leaders really did in fact know what Deborah Pauly said.
My understanding of what she said, she was referring to two people, called them terrorists, and said she has two sons who can send them to paradise.
Which makes one wonder, how could they say things they know are lies on official record and to nearly a million-person audience?
Referring to Muslims as terrorists was irresponsible and disrespectful.
But if you defy, then know that the best of America that's outside.
CAIR gathered the crowd by spreading this lie a month prior through this fabricated YouTube video, which falsely juxtaposed elected officials next to footage of a completely different group shot hours later, hurling vitriol and hate speech at women and children walking into the fundraiser. How could CAIR do this to elected officials who even took such great care to say this?
Be peaceful, be composed.
As it's getting time for their gathering to start, we're going to fire up some music, and rather than getting into a shouting match, we're going to sing.
Yeah.
All of CAIR's lies were retaliation for Deborah Pauly speaking against two of CAIR's notorious jihadist imam keynote speakers, Malik Ali. He overtly supports Hamas and calls terrorists freedom fighters. Siraj Wahhaj is an unindicted co-conspirator of the 1993 World Trade Center bombings. These two imams spoke at a fundraiser on February 13, 2011 at a Yorba Linda Community Center, where hundreds of Yorba Linda citizens gathered to protest, saying their jihadist ideology was not welcome there, where Deborah Pauly said this famous line which CAIR distorted to become the center of controversy.
As a matter of fact, I know quite a few Marines who will be very happy to help these terrorists to an early meeting in paradise.
CAIR made it seem as if she were referring to the attendees, presumably in order to keep the spotlight off the keynote speakers.
So we say no, not terrorists, freedom fighters.
Do you believe, Malik Ali, being brought here year after year, that Hamas, the terrorist group, Hezbollah, Islamic Jihad, do you believe that they are terrorist groups? Do you support Hamas?
Yes.
Do you support Hezbollah?
Yes.
Do you support Islamic Jihad?
Yes.
Imam Siraj Wahhaj was named as a possible unindicted co-conspirator in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing and testified as a character witness at the trial of the convicted terror mastermind Sheikh Omar Abdul Rahman. Is CAIR's lying YouTube video and admittedly false defamations a strategic campaign of radical Islam to threaten anyone who dares to speak against them? Or is this simply the fallout of one malevolent decision of CAIR, which is one of the most highly organized and well-connected Muslim American organizations in the world?
Communications Director of the Council on American Islamic Relations.
Are CAIR's allegations accurate? CAIR says Pauly called the attendees, women and children, and all Muslims, terrorists.
When she made statements like, make no mistake, my friend, these who are assembling here are enemies of America. They are your enemy, they are my enemy, because they seek to destroy it.
The full tape of Pauly's speech reveals her never talking about the attendees at all, only about the two jihadist imams and sponsoring organizations.
They would be condemning these terrorist instigators instead of inviting them to be their keynote speakers.
Community Center, two imams who are members of Muslim Brotherhood. Ultimate goal is to re-establish Islamic Caliphate and implement Sharia law in the West, including the United States of America.
CAIR says Pauly attacked the religion of Islam.
But it's not acceptable to then turn their opposition into a shameful and hateful attack on an entire religion.
Your statements referring to Muslims as terrorists was irresponsible and disrespectful.
Pauly said, it's not about religion.
You can practice religion or not. This one or that, we don't care.
Why then did CAIR accuse her in open session of attacking the religion of Islam? The Muslim Public Affairs Council says Pauly licensed murder on anyone she deemed a terrorist.
I don't know if any of you city council members have been called a terrorist or worry about your children being called a terrorist and this dehumanization. So I don't know what is worse, your license to murder individuals you deem terrorists.
All right, excuse me.
Do the Imam keynote speakers deem themselves as fighting to subvert America?
So we say no, not terrorists, freedom fighters.
The U.S. Representative Ed Royce read this quotation showing that Siraj Wahhaj seeks to overthrow the American government and Constitution and replace them with the Caliphate and Sharia law.
Quote some of the comments that Imam Siraj Wahhaj have made in the past. He says, this so-called democracy will crumble, and there will be nothing. And the only thing that will remain will be Islam. Well, I think our reservists and I think our veterans will have something to say about that, don't you?
The Imams have made their support for terror widely known in the press.
Not terrorists, freedom fighters.
In order for Palestine, for there to be peace in Palestine, the Muslims, we have to control them.
Hamas, these are our role models.
We talking about radical Islam. That's just Islam.
Jihad is my spirit. I will fight against oppression, and I will die to establish Islam.
CAIR's false attacks warrant a retraction of the highest magnitude. They got the facts wrong, and clearly, they chose to smear Pauly and protesters for speaking against their jihadist imams.
Great. My understanding of what she said, she was referring to two people, called them terrorists, and said she has two sons who can send them to paradise.
CAIR's behavior has left a huge wake of carnage and threatened the core of American free speech and the ability to safely speak against jihadist Islam.